Are you ready for some restorative sleep? Take this bedtime story as your personal guide to peaceful and inspirational dreams. If you would like to listen to this story in another language, follow the link in the description below. But for now, lean back and let the good thoughts begin. Good night, I told myself. Sleep well. Good night, and do not dream. Silence. My room was filled with stillness. The most intense calmness one might imagine covered me. I could let myself sink into it and, just like that, flee from everything that belonged to the real world. But then again, what if I were to dream? What if I escaped Earth only to end up in some other universe created by my own mind? I did not think I could bear that. After all, dealing with this one reality had already caused me enough trouble. Unexpectedly, something attracted my attention, ending the sleepy chaos in my head. All of a sudden, my thoughts were placid and peaceful enough to focus on only one crystal clear, unalterable fact. Someone had entered my room. He did not move, nor did he interrupt the complete stillness. No, he only stood there, like a matter of course, as if the space he now filled had never been meant to be empty in the first place. I would not have noticed him if it was not for the contentment he radiated. As he was standing next to my bed, he reminded me of the moon, illuminating all the mysterious darkness in the world with a cozy gleam in order to guide us safely through the night. I blinked. At first, only shadows were to be seen. Just obscurity hid the furniture inside my room. Nothing more than vague outlines indicated that I was not alone. But after a moment, in which time seemed to stand as still as everything else, he turned his head, and two spheres collided with my gaze. His eyes were like diamonds, sparkling in hundreds of colors, in shades I had never seen before, in hues that were too intense to even exist in this world. They were as deep as an ocean and as mysterious as the water after a storm. Yet there was no storm in them, only profound peacefulness, and those sparks, those alluring, captivating sparks. When he moved his hand, I did not reflect on the full scenario. It felt like destiny that, in one swift movement, he placed his palm on my shoulder, and that this gentle touch made me sink into the mattress, lower, so much lower than my bed actually was. At this point, instinct had already taken over. Feeling told me there was no need to marvel at the motion. I no longer felt his hand on my shoulder, yet I could sense his presence. That was all this moment required. He was still with me when the sinking stopped. His crystal-like eyes met mine before viewing our environment. It took me a second to follow his gaze, but when I did, I needed to blink twice before comprehending what I saw. This was not my room we were surrounded by. I would have said this was not the world I knew, but in fact, it was. Somewhere above my bed, there was a roof, and above my roof, there was the sky. Our beautiful, familiar sky contained clouds of all kinds, mighty ones, or those appearing like mist. Above those various clouds, there was a huge distance, and at its end, there were we. Stars danced around me, their light so golden that each one of them seemed to me as if decorated with a crown. From out of the corner of my eyes, I had a look at my companion. Yet the second my glance took in his glint, I could not help but turn to him completely. Never had anything been possible to gleam like he did. There was nothing I had ever gotten to know that his elegance could be compared with, except for I turned a little further, contemplating our surroundings until I was almost sure of what I had assumed. Then I looked back at him, at his gaze, at what his sparks enlightened. It was a magical feeling to hover next to the moon, seeing the world from his perspective. There was nothing small about our planet except for its size. Every area, each vivid city, and every tranquil river seemed to be exactly where it was meant to be. From above here, Earth was in its place. Behind the globe, I saw the last sunbeams disappear. The longer the shadows grew, the brighter my companion twinkled, and every diamond that reinforced the light in his eyes seemed to wink at the continents beneath us, like a promise or even a spark of hope. Once again, his eyes caught mine. Let it be confidence, he transmitted to me, or bravery, or trust. Whatever I received from him was enough to make me ask my most urgent question. Are you actually Mr. Moon? Surprisingly, a smile spread across his face, adding even more magic to it. He intensified his gaze before, once more, putting a hand onto my shoulder. I am the light within you. And it was this last blink of his eyes, those final sparks he sent into my soul, that relieved me from my fear of dreaming. As I sunk into my pillows, I realized that nothing would ever be more magical than a mind full of fantasy.